Kamala Harris just did her first TV interview for the promotion of her new book, 107 Days. And is she coming clean or unknowingly distancing herself from her party? So the former vice president sat down with MSNBC's Rachel Maddow to promote her new book, 107 Days. And she didn't shy away from tough questions. And mind you, this was her first in-depth interview about the behind the scenes leading up to the 2024 election, specifically stepping in for President Biden after he dropped out. In the book, Harris reflects on that chaotic period, revealing a regret that's already making headlines. She wishes she had spoken up about her concern over Biden running for re-election. She writes, quote, "Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. It should have been more than a personal decision." When Maddow asked her about it, Harris didn't deflect. She admitted, saying, quote, "When I talk about the recklessness as much as anything, I'm talking about myself." So she explained she had hesitated to confront Biden about running again because she worried it would come off as self-serving, especially after running against him in 2020. But it wasn't all self-reflection. She also took direct aim at President Trump, calling him, quote, "a tyrant," and drawing comparisons to authoritarian regimes. She said, quote, "We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump." Now, the White House Rapid Response Team commented on her name calling, writing, quote, "Sick. Failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris is inciting violence on MSDNC, calling the duly elected president of the United States, who escaped 2 assassination attempts, a tyrant." Another moment that stirred buzz was her take on how close the 2024 election was. Harris claimed it was, quote, "the closest presidential election of the 21st century. But statistics actually show the 2000 election between George W. Bush and Al Gore. That one holds the title. But there was a more personal reveal. Maddow brought up a passage in the book where Harris wrote that former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was her first choice for a running mate. But she was hesitant, worried that a ticket featuring a black woman and a gay man might not be something voters were ready for. Maddow said, quote, "It's hard to hear he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay." Harris tried to dilute the accusation, even though she writes this in her book, saying, quote, "It wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but rather the reality of the political moment. It made me really sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. Maybe I was being too cautious." Buttigieg responded in a statement to Politico, saying he was, quote, "surprised by the book's mention and that he still believes in giving Americans more credit." Now, as for any plans of running again in 2028, Harris quickly shut down that question, saying, quote, "That's not my focus right now. That's not my focus at all. It really isn't." So only time will tell with that one.